Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Squier bullet Strat upgrade issues and also how to fix them, including where to get the parts from you need to actually fix them correctly. So let's take a look at them. Okay, let's start with the tuners. Now this style of tuner, this particular shape, they're notorious. They've developed a huge bad reputation over the years, and I've encountered it myself many times. Now both of these bullets that I'm going to go over came with these on here. I've had zero problems out of them. I mean, they're probably only a 13-to-1 ratio, so they're a little, they don't turn the smoothest, but they're not jumping around. They hold tune very well, so even with a whammy bar, they've not been a problem. Now, if you want to upgrade them, the biggest issue is the size of the peg hole. They are the old style peg hole. I believe it's 8.5 millimeters, where the new ones are 10, somewhere around there. So you can put on vintage style tuners. They are direct fit. These are $20 cheap ones, but Kluson and Fender will also fit. Now that being said, you can upgrade. There are some other brands out there that have the vintage size tuners, but for the most part you're going to be seeing the modern size. So what you'll probably need to do if you want to go to a modern size is actually route the holes out. And that is something you can look up more information on YouTube. Myself, I happen to like the vintage style tuners, so that's what I go with, which they're, I think, a 15-to-1 ratio. But I've had no problems out of either style tuner, except with using the whammy bar, and that turns out that was the nut and the string guides, which we'll get into next. Now, the nut on these guitars is just your basic, I don't know if it's plastic or synthetic bone, but they weren't cut badly. It held tune, but it did. It was binding just a little bit, and once you try to use a whammy bar, it became really noticeable. So I did switch to a Graphtec. These are Tusk XLs on both of these bullets. They're great. I have a 43 on this one and a 42 millimeter on the other one, just to try them both out. Did have to, of course, sand a little more off the sides of this nut because it's a 43, because these necks are 42 millimeter at the nut. However, the action on both is great. I really like these. And then with the whammy bar, I was still having a tiny bit of binding. That turned out to be the string guide, which I also replaced with some Graphtec. And this guitar can go crazy with the whammy bar now, and it works great. Now, as we move on to the electronics, let's start with the pick guard. Because if you want to change the pickups, you will have to change your pick guard or route your pick guard. Now on this guitar, because I went with a different configuration, I went with an HSH, I actually had to go with a different pick guard. And you can see there's a missing screw right here. Hopefully you can see it. Come on, camera. Okay, the missing screw is right here. And the reason there's no screw there is because there is no wood to go there. When you put a screw in, it hits nothing. And you can also run into the issue of there being wood there but no hole that you need to screw into and make a new hole in the body. So you can either have a screw hole that's missing a screw, which some people don't like that aesthetic, or you might have to put a new screw hole in the body, which some people are also not comfortable with. So that is something to be aware of. Now, to avoid that, on this guitar, I simply took the pick guard and I took some sandpaper and wrapped it around a string winder and widened the pickup holes on this so that it would accommodate full-size pickups, because the Squier pick guard will not accommodate full-size pickups. So you can either route out these holes or you can buy a new pick guard. Now, as for the electronics in them, the electronics themselves, to put in new pots, and I'll put up some pictures here in a second, to put in pots you're going to actually have to route out the inner wall right here, because this pot hits on the wood that's there. Now for a standard 5-way blade switch, you're going to actually have to route out below the switch on the bottom side so that it can sit at proper depth without pushing the pick guard up. Neither one one takes very long, and you can buy a rotary tool. I got mine for $20 at Walmart about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. So they're not terribly expensive. Now for an output jack, on this guitar I haven't changed the jack yet because I did not order another Switchcraft. I had a Fender 57 reissue style jack, as well as a couple other jacks lying around. None of them fit. This one does have a Switchcraft in it. It fits great, and it's never been a problem. So the Switchcraft jack does fit. I just need to order one for that guitar. But that is really the only thing I found that will fit in here. Maybe if you change the plate out to where you have more room, because some of the plates extend further this way. But for a direct drop-in, the Switchcraft will do it. Now for a tremolo, both these guitars currently have the original tremolo. I've had no problem out of either. With me using the bar on this one from time to time, the full-size block is not an issue because I want the full range of motion. As well as using humbuckers, I'm not having near the issue of sustain or anything because I use a lot of effects a lot of times with this. But it's not really been an issue anyway. The guitar has pretty good sustain. Both of them do. That being said, on the blue one, I will be changing the tremolo system out, because if you want to have a full block tremolo, which I do for this particular guitar, several companies, but Guitar Fetish is who I'm going to recommend right now just because I'm familiar with them and their products, and I've had great success in the past. And though I have not tried these, they do make a full-size vintage style tremolo with bent steel saddles and a shorty full-size block. So it's just a block that's had a couple millimeters shaved off it so it'll fit in this assembly. And I believe they're like 40 bucks plus shipping. So that is how you rectify the issue if you want a full-size block. And that takes care of everything except for the strap buttons, which they're not an issue. You can put any strap buttons on you want. So those are the issues you could run into, or will run into, if you go to upgrade your Squier Bullet. And hopefully this will help you easily take care of those issues. All right, thanks for watching. If you like this content, please click like and subscribe. Click the bell icon to stay notified. Leave us a comment and or a request, and we'll see you next time.